Hey friends, welcome back to another video. It's your girl Meg, and in today's video we're going to be doing a summer sweat-proof makeup routine that's perfect for everyone. Last summer I did a video like this with tips for a sweat-proof makeup routine, and I've updated my routine. I got some new tips and new things to share with you. I really like how this makeup looks and I really love how it wears. I live in Houston, Texas. It is so hot and humid here, already feeling like 100 degrees in June, so that's fun. And so I really know what I'm doing when it comes to sweat-proof makeup, what things are gonna work and what things won't. So hopefully my tips passed on to you is going to be helpful. If that sounds good to you, make sure you stay tuned, but before you do, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future uploads, and also make sure to follow along on social media where we can be friends. I have a lot of content on attainable, easy beauty for everybody, so make sure you're my friend over there. So let's get started with this summer sweat-proof makeup routine. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this sweat-proof makeup routine for this summer. The first thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is your skin prep, your skincare, taking care of your skin, hydrating it, even though if you might be oily, whatever your skin type is, make sure you're using a gentle cleanser or cleansing with water in the morning, using a moisturizer, and an SPF is super important. You don't want to rely on your makeup for your SPF. So for example, for this product here, the CC Nude Glow from IT Cosmetics, it has an SPF 40, but to get to the labeled SPF of this product, you're gonna have to use a lot of product. So I always recommend going in with an additional sunscreen before your makeup, like 1/4 teaspoon for your face and your neck. And that's a lot more than you think. So make sure that you're doing that first of all. And then another way to prep the skin that I like, and it seems a little counterintuitive for a sweat-proof makeup routine, is to make sure that I have literally like 1 drop of some sort of facial oil on the under eye area, and then I'm letting it sit there for about 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, however much time that I have to do my makeup. That's really important. Skin prep is so important for this routine, and it makes the biggest difference when you see how this wears, okay? It just makes the biggest difference. All right, so in order to prep the skin, that's what we did first. And then secondly, we are gonna go in with a gripping primer. A gripping primer is exactly kind of what it sounds like. It's going to grip, the makeup is going to grip onto it. And how does that work, you ask? What happens with this primer, which is also very hydrating and really nice and cooling on the skin feeling at first? It's this gel formula. And this is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I used to really love the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer, but they're discontinuing it, which I'm really upset about. But this is very similar. And it's this like gel sort of consistency. It feels hydrating, cooling on the skin, really nice. And then once you get it rubbed in, it starts to dry down. It starts to get a little sticky. And that's what you want. You want this to get a little sticky, and right when that's sticky, you're gonna go immediately in with your foundation and your complexion products, and the makeup is going to stick onto this primer a whole lot better than if you were to use like a heavy silicone primer or a heavy like pore filling primer. If pores are really your issue and you really wanna cover those pores, totally just spot prime those areas. My texture is kind of like on my nose and like right here. I could use that primer here and then go on top of that with my gripping primer to ensure that I have a lot of grip power. So also the name of the game in this whole routine is going in light layers. I said this last year, and my sweat-proof makeup routine for summer is go in light layers. That is the key. We really do not want to be heavy-handed at all with this routine, so you're not going to glob tons of primer on and dub tons of foundation, tons of concealer. We're going to go really light, and that's going to make the biggest difference. I think overall, as a whole, we use way too much makeup on our face, and then we're like, why does this not look good? It's because YouTube told you to put a crap ton of concealer on, and you don't need that much. You don't need that much foundation. Just trust me on this. So let's get started with the application. After I apply my e.l.f. Power Grip Primer, I'm then going to go in with the new IT Cosmetics CC Plus New Glow, and I'm going to use the tiniest amount of this on my face because I feel like, again, we're going in light layers, and I'm using a foundation that is really more of a medium coverage. It's a little bit more lightweight. It's not heavy feeling at all on me, and that's what I'm going to use today. So you're going to want to use like a medium coverage foundation. If you're doing an event type of thing and you want more full coverage, it's totally fine, but when I want something that's really sweat proof, I go in with medium coverage foundations. You wait till it's a little sticky, and once it's getting really tacky, you really want to not delay and go in with your foundation. I really only use like one pump of foundation. If I feel like I wanted a little extra coverage, I'll take like another additional like half pump. I spread it on the skin and then use this brush to basically stipple it in. I'm using this kind of motion as I'm pressing that into the skin. I'm not really like swirling it around too much or like smearing the product like across, you know what I'm saying? You really want to just like press it into the skin. That's going to give you really good coverage, and that's also going to prevent a lot of like brush stroke marks, and it really helps like your skin look as best as you possibly can. I really like how glowy and healthy this looks. It does also kind of dry down and looks really nice on camera, and it looks great, and it's got a little bit of additional SPF coverage. That's what I really like about it for summer. It just feels lighter on my skin, and that's what I really like, and then it's really glowy. Next in my routine is to start concealing the under eye. So I'm using this corrector from Beauty Pie. This is in the medium shade. I like the orange undertone, and basically I just put the tiniest bit of corrector. I just dipped my ring finger in, and I'm spreading it over my two under eye areas just to sort of like conceal that darkness. Correctors are really great at that, but you really want to use the lightest amount. I literally just stuck my ring finger in and used that amount on the under eye area. And then I kind of let that corrector sit under the eye for a second, and then I'm gonna go in with my concealer. And I've been doing something a little bit different than the last video. I feel like I'm using even less concealer, and I'm not really going in with a makeup sponge as much anymore. I'm using a little brush. I found this brush on Amazon. I'll link it below. And I'm really just sort of tapping in the concealer to kind of get more coverage out of less product. So we're going in light layers, like I said, less is more. So I'm using the Shape Tape Ultra Creamy, not the regular formula. The Ultra Creamy is where it's at. I don't like the regular Shape Tape. And what I'm doing here is all I'm gonna do is that's it for my entire under eye. Last year's video I used a whole lot more, but this is also very light because I am self-tanned, so I don't really want to go in with too much. You may want to choose a concealer that is closer to your skin tone if you're struggling with covering all of your dark circles. If you're doing something that's a little too light, it may give you a lot of like shadowy look. This is a little lighter than I usually like, but I am self-tanned, so I'm like, I don't want to switch up my concealer shades. For this, it usually blends out, and when I'm using less product, it turns out fine. So I spread that out with my finger, as you can see, and then I'm sort of like tapping the edges out with this brush that I have, this little brush, and then I'm gonna wait a second. In order for my concealer to get the most coverage and for it to last the longest, is I really wait a second before I start going in and blending it out. So you wanna wait at least a minute. Don't immediately start blending because you're gonna wipe away the coverage. Again, I only used a dot, like I said, on each under eye area, and that is the really going to make a big difference in creasing and it wearing well under your eyes because you don't have as much product under there. The more that's going to be under that eye, the more that has the ability to slip, slide, sweat off, crease, flake, all the things. So now that I've been talking for about a minute and this had the chance to sort of dry down just a tad, I start pressing with this little brush. This is the motion I'm using with the brush. You're really tapping that in, okay? Now we're gonna go into setting the under eye area and how I would set the face. I'm not gonna go into like the blush, bronzer, all the eye look, everything. I just want to focus on all the things that I'm doing with my sweat-proof makeup routine. So at this point, I would either take a pressed powder or loose powder and I start setting the middle of my face. And then on top of that, I'll start using my blush, bronzer, stuff like that. And honestly, you can use cream products, you can use powder products, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure you're using a really light hand with all of this. For this video, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I've talked about this a million times. Put a little bit of powder in the cap and then I take a makeup puff. I'm going to swirl that around in there, press it on the back of my hand to kind of work the powder into the under eye area. Look into my mirror, tap out the under eye with the brush, and then begin to press that powder on the under eye area. That amount of powder is going on both under eyes. And then I'll also get the lids to sort of set that as well. So what this is doing is it is controlling the amount of powder that I have put under my eyes. That way, less is gonna cake. It's gonna feel a lot better. It's gonna set better. And you know what? Don't get bent out of shape if you do have like different creases throughout the day. That's just your anatomy. Like it happens to me. Our faces move, we make expression. If you have a little like crease here and there, like nothing's wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just that we are humans and we move, our faces move, and we can't expect the makeup to just like completely move with us, right? Okay. After I use that powder to set the under eye area, I want to use a bit of a setting spray to kind of help lock stuff down, especially in the under eye area. And this is the e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. This is a glowy setting mist that's gonna like make the skin look super healthy, but also sets it down. And then from here, this is gonna provide like a good base for me to lay like my blush, bronzer, and highlight on top of. So at this point, off camera, I'm going to apply my blush, bronzer, and highlighter. I am not going heavy-handed, just really, really quick. I'm gonna use a light cream bronzer. I'm gonna use a little bit of this liquid blush. I am going to put a little bit of liquid highlighter on, and then we're gonna come back and set everything. And we're going to be really light-handed with all of this as well off camera. But the point of this video is to share with you like how to really prep the base, like the foundation, the concealer, and the powder, and how I'm using setting sprays to get this to lock and load. I'm not using a lot of product, and I'll be right back. Okay, I did a lot of my makeup off camera because I didn't want to spend a ton of time explaining every single step, but just sort of like give you an overall view of tips. But you can use any products that you have over top of that complexion. You know, you've prepped it, you used a gripping primer, you used less foundation, less concealer, you spot powdered, you really concentrated that powder, but you didn't use a lot of it. Here's one tip that you can try. You don't have to if you don't have these products on hand, but if you are wanting your blush and your bronzer to last a little bit longer, you find that your blush is wearing off or sweating off easily, is you can use a liquid or cream blush, and then on top of it, set it with a powder blush. So that's what I did here. I applied a little bit of cream blush. It was actually a liquid blush from Shein. This is what this product looks like. It's this really pretty pink color. Pink is so on trend for spring. And then I used the new Bare Minerals bronzer in Kiss of Pink. And I put this over top of the liquid blush, and that gives you a longer lasting blush look, and you're also kind of setting the blush that way. And then you can do the same with bronzer. So I love the Rare Beauty Cream Bronzer. That can go on just like really easily, and I really don't use a lot of it. And then I'll take a really light fluffy brush and use a bronzer over it. This is the new L'Oreal bronzers, the Infallible Fresh Wear bronzer. They're really pretty. All you gotta do with this is just take a little fluffy brush like I have here and just sort of put that on top of where you applied your bronzer, so that way you're avoiding tons of powder, but you're also setting it, and it's gonna last longer and it's not gonna fade as easily on you. So that's really good. So like we're here at the end, and I haven't really powdered the center of my face. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take that same powder, my e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I'm not sure that I mentioned this before, but what I really like about this powder is that it has a slightly glowy finish. It's not glittery, but it's not like this flat matte powder. And I really love to just kind of like work that into my powder puff, put it, like work that in, and then I'm going to press it into spots where I know that I'm going to probably sweat. It might be your whole face. It might be the center of your face. So for me, and me personally, I really like to hit the center of my face. So you grab that powder, really press it into the skin. You're really packing that powder into the puff. And then I get the center. You really just press that into the center of your face. What that's doing is, again, giving you a concentrated amount of powder, also really locking in the makeup at the same time, but you're not overdoing it with powder. Another place that I really like to apply powder, let me show you this, because I feel like this is a spot that really wears fast, is like down here along the jaw and kind of downward. So if you are not somebody that really likes to powder your entire face, you can do this method where you're hitting the center of your face and then back towards the ear along the jawline. And you don't really have to hit this area, because if you've used a powder product, that's fine. I will say, if you did not use creams, let's say you put your foundation on and your concealer, and you can just powder your whole face and then use powder products on top of that. But since I used creams and then I set them with powder like bronzer and blush, that is going to really like take the place of my powder, but also provide that longer lasting blush and longer lasting bronzer. I should have filmed that, but whatever. The main purpose is really of this video is to really tell you how to do your prep complexion, like your foundation and your concealer, and how to powder and use your setting spray. So I've really powdered up that center of my face. I feel like it's looking good, and like I said, look how healthy that powder is. It doesn't look super flat, and because I really want to do a glowy makeup look as well. And this is how you can get a long-lasting glowy makeup look, because I am using this glowier powder. And again, let's say, you know, you really just want to set your whole face. Like you're like, I know I'm going to sweat this off. Grab a fluffy brush and just gently tap over the entire face with that. And that's really going to help that last longer. But just be careful, if you're doing that, you may take down the pigment of the blush and the bronzer. This is a fairly translucent powder. I find that it doesn't really like mess with my, what I've put underneath it. Okay, as a very last step is my must step. I can't skip this. This is absolutely a non-negotiable for me. And that is my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. You notice that I used another setting spray kind of after my foundation. This is the e.l.f., like I said, the Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. I use setting spray twice in my routine, especially when I want to make sure that it lasts all day. So I like to spray this on top of, after I've done my foundation and concealer, which also provides a nice base for everything to lay on top of it. And at the very end, this is kind of like the hairspray for my face. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter, like I mentioned. It's a holy grail setting spray. I really just always have this on hand, and I pretty much just like douse my face in it. I use a lot. I feel like this really makes a difference. I can't tell you days where I've forgotten this and I've gone out and done stuff and then I've like, oh my gosh, I look in the mirror and I'm like, why does my makeup sliding off and looking horrible today? And it's because I haven't used this. This is key. And it's really hard to dupe. There's a couple drugstore options that you can find, but for me, I just love this version, this product so much that I don't even bother with the drugstore ones. I will use them, especially if I'm like working on a drugstore video or content, but this is my favorite. One other tip, like if you're going throughout the day and you need to touch up, or you're looking in the mirror and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? You can leave like a little pressed powder in your purse and then grab one of these little triangular makeup puffs and just gently sort of like press anything into your skin at all during the day. I really feel like touching up with these powder puffs is a lot better. The very last tip that I have is I think it's important to really kind of skip eyeliner as much as you can, especially since if you're over 35, you've got aging skin. Using eyeliner can really age you sometimes, but using a little, like this pencil is so bulletproof. This is the Maybelline Master Precise Skinny, and I like to use this just as a waterline on my waterline to kind of make my lashes sort of blend into my lash line a little better, because I do have like a pair of half false lashes on. So skipping eyeliner I think is important in summer and like really not overdoing it. With the eyes as well, the other last tip that I have is to use a tubing mascara. If waterproof mascaras are too irritating for you, waterproof mascaras just like are so hard for you to remove, try a tubing mascara. They're designed, you can Google this for more information, but they're designed to really kind of wrap around the lashes. They have a really cool technology, and so it's not really wax based, they're polymer based, and so these little tubes coat your lashes, and so they don't flake off as easily. It wears really well, and it's also easy to remove. You just use warm water and they just sort of slide off at the end of the day. So try a tubing mascara. This is the Totally Tubular mascara from Half Caked Beauty. I love this stuff and it's really affordable. I think it's like $14 and it's a beautiful tubing mascara. I have another couple favorites, but like using a tubing mascara in the summertime I think is a must if you're wanting that eye look to really stay put in the mascara and then really skipping the eyeliner. So hopefully those are two really good tips for you. Okay, so here is the final makeup look. I hope you guys found this video super helpful and were able to learn a few things. I know I breezed through some of it and didn't really show a lot of it on camera, but I really wanted to make sure that I did the most important things on camera and sort of like briefly talked about the other things and like hold products up. So if you like this video, of course, make sure you subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!